Coming up in this week's episode.
Yeah.
Nobody was ever addicted to speak and spell, were they?
No. Mummy, it's a really long word. Just before tea. Let me carry on. 2 notes.
Yes,
but that
straight away.
Someone's eyes light up.
It's time to adjust those shoulder pads, backcomb what's left of your hair, and jump into the DeLorean for a look back at what's possibly the best decade anyone could ever have grown up in.
Shall we play a game?
This is Bring Back the 80s with your hosts James Alderson and me, Andy Jackson.
And like we said last time round, shall we play a game?
Yes.
You brought some games with you, James Alderson.
I can't stop playing with myself. Well, in the first episode of this season, we talked a lot about the very, very first games that were in the house.
Like the ping pong,
ping, blip, pong, whatever it was called. There was various different versions of it, and the one my mum had looked like it was made of fucking wood.
I remember that. Yeah,
like
same
wood
one.
Effect.
Yeah, like wood effects.
Yeah, very weird. And I think I've got it somewhere still. But as I say, that was 70s. We had Major Morgan and Speak and Spell and some early like VIC-20s and Ataris and stuff that came out late 70s, early 80s. And then it very swiftly moved on to some really sexy stuff. This is the stuff that people will remember. The Game & Watch from Nintendo had not been heard of, and then all of a sudden they were the Nokia of their day, weren't they? Yeah, I mean, funnily enough, they did bring out lots of handheld analog little magnetic sort of games, which I've got some of from the 70s, and they brought out, and a lot of Japanese companies did these little handheld pocket-sized games for the Japanese market and Asian market. But then they got into this, and Mario, for example, 1985, Mario Brothers, Donkey Kong and that sort of stuff, similar. And this was it's got to have been the biggest selling handheld game of all time, I'm guessing, as far as a single game's concerned. Obviously, I've got it here with the instructions.
Of course. Mint condition,
of course. Well, pretty much.
Used, yeah?
Well, yeah, it's been used quite a bit, and it's faded at one end, unfortunately. And I got it for my tour, so I took it on my tour. I had all these things displayed on the stage, and it got a bit battered, unfortunately, during that. But it would open up, obviously, the double screen. Let's see if I can actually get the bloody thing to start.
See, I remember kids playing with these on the if you went on holiday, and if the kids were rich enough.
That's the noises it makes when you hit the barrel when you're trying to jump. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
That's all the noise it would make. And as I said in the previous episode, no off button here. The only buttons you've got are up, down, left, right, and jump. Game A, game B. There's a button for time, if you want to know the time.
They were in cahoots with the battery makers, weren't they? The batteries never lasted. You could turn it off.
Yeah. So, but I think it stops when you're dead and you close it, I think. But it was just lovely.
Let's hear those noises again,
okay.
James. Just
lovely.
Back.
I mean, let me just... Oh, I'm going to die. No, I'm all right.
It was literally 2 sounds, wasn't it? Bip and bop.
That's dead.
You're dead.
And these, I mean, you could... The thing is, on this... Does it have it on this? Some of the games you can turn the sound off, which is genius. You know, or have the sound on, have the sound off. Not that you'd know that on a train or a bus these days. No sodding kid knows the volume control on it. But this game, this was my most addictive... Oh, still going off. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
This was the game I loved and played the most as a kid. This is one of my original ones. Slightly smashed screen from when I stored it away after playing with it as a kid. But it was pristine condition. I had the box. If you can have the box for these days, it's hundreds of pounds. This game called BMX Flyer. I only realised in recent years that so many kids of my age had this game. I just thought it was a great game that's very addictive. You can't... One of those games where in the dark... You could see fuck all. It's not backlit. Even when they brought out the Game Boy and stuff, it wasn't backlit. You had to have full light above you. So you had to have the big light on to play all these games when your mum would go nuts. Why's the big light on? It's just like, I'm trying to see. She'd flick it off, like, dead. But it's the same with this one. I can't see it, actually, this one. This is actually lit. But the lighting on it is so bad, I can't see a thing. So I'd have to play it, this one.
In the dark.
I'd have to play it in the dark. But this is mid-80s. by Grandstand, the same people I think who did Scramble there. That's on the. But this was a BMX guy. He's in 2 or 3 colours. There's a bit of green, bit of blue for the dads, and you can jump, wheelie, squirt some dirt out the back of you, and go down. But you can turn the sound off.
That's to keep your mum happy.
Oh,
you imagine that in the back of the car. The back of the car. That
constant noise, and it was genius because. It was nice to hear the noises of you doing a little jump or getting killed, but really it was very monotonous. It's nice to be able to just turn that sound off sometimes. But yeah, we're moving on from just educational games. These are proper addictive games now. We're getting Donkey Kong from Nintendo. Grandstand are bringing out this BMX game. Everyone had a BMX. They wanted to do it digitally. Yeah.
As you will see with one of the clips that we've got from the from how they were selling games, the marketing they hadn't quite sorted out who they were selling to. So that is one of the clips that will come up a little bit later. But before we do that, time for the mystery sound.
Oh yeah.
It's another computer starting up, James. See if you can work out which computer that is starting up in this week's mystery sound.
Okay.
Parker Electronics.
In fact, James,
should we do another advert?
It's going so well, isn't it? So well.
It's a clip. We're going to do a clip.
It's a clip. We're doing a clip.
Parker Electronics introduced Hurricane Higgins' electronic cue ball, the electronic snooker game, where you cue up and aim, pull off angle shots, finesse shots, trick shots, and the occasional fluke shot. And for football fans, there's Trevor Francis' Electronic Striker, where you have to get round your opponent's defence, pass, and score. Trevor Francis' Electronic Striker and Hurricane Higgins' Electronic Cue Ball from Parker Electronics.
Look at the prices.
Yeah.
£37.50.
That's a couple £100.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't digital. They were lighting up light bulbs.
They were lighting up light bulbs, yeah, but they were pretending to be digital, weren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, and they were electronic. It was a bit of an extension of the game operation.
It was really, wasn't it?
Like different parts light up, a bit of noise. Brilliant, because, we'd never seen the likes of it. That must be very early 80s. But it was bringing your outside entertainment in your lounge. That's the key, wasn't it? You'd go and play at a snooker club, or you'd go and play football out in the park, but now you could sit in the warm and play that game with your mate.
But how tiny were those screens?
Yeah,
tiny, yeah.
Utter shit, wasn't it? Let's be honest. The plastic manufacturers are happy because it was mostly plastic, and there was little light bulbs and bulbs around, and so many companies were trying to get involved. That's Parker, who I think were board games, aren't they?
Yes,
board game manufacturers like Waddingtons and stuff. So they're getting involved because they're thinking, Christ, we've got to do something. But they didn't have the skills or the workforce that could get involved and properly create computer-based stuff. So
but they made it look computery, didn't they?
Yeah. And those kids, bless them, I mean, they hadn't had a haircut for years. But did you see them? That was so 70s-esque, bless them. They were in their football kit playing indoors. The irony.
Yeah.
No, you're not going out. Play on this game now. Stay here. And that was the start of brain rot, wasn't it?
Indeed.
Don't go out and play. Stay there. And the only time they went out was when there was an ice cream van. Great. Loved those start of it. Christmas became magical when the noises and these handheld devices came out. No longer were you getting a jigsaw and a board game. You were getting something that was you and it interacting.
And lovely. The thing is, well, there was what was great about those for parents as well as kids, though, there was no bits to lose, because like Monopoly and Mousetrap and the board games, great. But so many teeny tiny bits. If like me, you had no patience. I could never build the Mousetrap thing just because I could not be asked. No. Just couldn't be bothered. But with those, all self-contained, no mess, no fuss, no bother.
Oh, that's right. Even Sabutio, which was obviously bringing football indoors. What a ball ache. You had to roll it out, and no pun intended, roll it out. You put the goals at each end. You set everybody up. By that time, it's like dinner time and something's on the telly, and leave it.
Are we ready for our first mystery sound of this episode?
Have you got a mystery sound coming up?
I think we might have.
Oh, brilliant.
Let's have a go and see.
It's a mystery sound of the 80s. A mystery sound of the 80s.
Now, that was one of the first properly musical sort of sounds that you would have, isn't it?
Yes.
A bit of gameplay going on there.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely the intro to a game.
Special game.
Anyway, here's Mario Brothers handheld. Yeah. No, not related at all. Obviously with the instructions, and this is just one of the. They did them that were just on their own, but these fold-out ones were the coveted ones that everybody wanted because it's got double screen and exciting. And again, can you hear the exciting noises? That's it.
That's great. They're good.
You feel like you're there, don't you? You feel like you're in the factory at the moment. Oh, he spilt the tray, the twat. Okay, he's getting told off by the boss now. I'll have one miss. Again, Luigi on one side, Mario on the other, double screen. The setting on each screen is printed on the screen, and you've got these moving black characters, black in.
Don't dig yourself a hole there, James.
The graphic is black. And there's a black lorry, so you load up all the bottles onto the back of the truck, and then he fucks off. And but he's dropped another one, the tool, so he's never going to keep his job. Again, these fold-out ones, the Game & Watch series was obviously prolific from Nintendo, but they did do little single-piece things, not fold-out. They were a bit cheaper, but still, these are going for hundreds of pounds now. I
think I mentioned in the other episode, I do remember kids whose parents obviously had enough money. If you were on a plane, those would be the default games on a plane to while away the hours, wouldn't they?
Yeah. And again, some companies did cheap versions, like a little Frogger, and it was literally just a piece of plastic with a small little screen, like you saw there where they're playing snooker.
Yeah,
it was like
just little pretend lights,
light bulbs, or 12 pixels. These were proper addicted. Got to keep doing the same thing over and over and over. Up, down, left, right, up, down, left, right, jump. It's just monotonous. But somehow we couldn't put the bloody thing down.
Yeah. I suppose it's the more addictive something is, the more they're going to sell. So that's where the beginning of consumer addiction perhaps became, because now we've got the TikToks and all that other stuff now, which is just purely addicting to us. So I guess this was like the early TikTok for us.
Yeah, and whatever can just keep you wanting to play it more and more and more. As you say, they were in cahoots with the battery manufacturers. They knew that you just got to keep going and keep going and keep going. But the creators of these games were geniuses, because there's something about them that makes them addictive, because they didn't all work. Not all the games were a success. But the Nintendo, playing with the Mario Brothers, Donkey Kong, Snoopy, whatever it might be, that monotonous repetitiveness really triggers something in a kid's brain that they just want to keep going, and then it gets faster and faster and faster. You've got to keep going. Yeah.
Nobody was ever addicted to Speak and Spell, were they?
No. Mummy, it's a really long word. Just before tea. Let me carry on. Oh, dear. I don't think... Did anybody ask for a Speak and Spell as a kid?
Nobody wanted a Speak and Spell as a kid.
But I think that parents were thinking that they were somehow cool for getting that instead of just a textbook and a pencil. I suppose it's better than that, isn't it?
Only just.
Yeah.
Only just.
But it still makes people remember their childhood, because we all had them under our beds, I think, or on the shelf from when we were little.
Yes. Every time, I think this could be another clip. It could be a mystery lunchbox. Who knows, James?
Who knows what this is?
Only one way to find out.
Let's have a look.
Tired of doing the same old thing every night? Well, try Microvision, a programmable new handheld electronic game system. Blockbuster comes with the Microvision unit, but there are 4 other cartridges. Connect 4, Shooting Star, or for faster action, bowling or pinball. Get Microvision from MB Electronics.
Who did they think they were selling those to?
It's tricky, isn't it? Because MB, again, like Parker, like Waddington's, is board games.
But they were dressed for a dinner party.
Yeah.
They were adults going out for dinner. Adults were not going to be playing those games.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I mean, they were appealing to the people that would have a Filofax or something, who'd do a crossword, and they were trying to say it's a puzzle to try and solve, not a game to play. Interesting, it's got cartridges there, because not many units at all had cartridges. This is the first one that was successful with cartridges, different games to load into the back. The Game Boy launched in 1989, so only just squeezes into our decade, Andy, before you start challenging me. This is without doubt the biggest successful
100%
probably of all time, I would suggest, with interchangeable cartridges. Came out when I was about 14, 15. 2 notes.
Yes,
but that
straight away.
Someone's eyes light up, and they're like, oh, who's got a Game Boy? And you could connect them between 2 games. You could connect one with another to play 2-player Tetris against one another and compete with a cable, not Bluetooth. And you couldn't be more than 3 feet apart. Made it very awkward, especially if you only had 2 seats. But yeah, Tetris, obviously, there's a big film. Have you seen the film, Tetris? I mean, incredible film and story all about it. And again, Nintendo, bloody nailing it. Not done a huge amount since, really. But it's, but yeah, brilliant. And it's, black and white, again. We had, they did bring out colour. And they did bring out a light to go over the screen so you could play it in the fucking dark. You couldn't sneakily play that in bed, could you? But they did have a volume control on the side and a contrast when the batteries are going low.
Contrast, I remember the contrast. You used to get a contrast.
Yeah, change the contrast when the batteries are getting low. And then, you got the little cartridges that slot in like this. Cartridges, seeing that on that advert there was unusual, because I didn't really think about handheld devices having cartridges before the Game Boy, but clearly they did. The technology was there. Obviously, most of us, before tapes, shoved a cartridge into the Atari, didn't we? Or shoved it into whatever other old device, computer game we had. Handheld. It was very early.
I think it was good. It was good now, because now any game you have or whatever is all just lives up in the sky, doesn't it? It's in the cloud.
Yeah.
Whereas these were physical things that you could collect and look at.
Well, I shunned away from the downloadable game, even up and recent as 5 years ago, for my boys. Shall I buy you some games for Christmas? It's all just download, so just give me money. Oh yeah, that's it. Take the bloody fun away from it. How can you unwrap a cloud game? Bollocks, isn't it? So he's just like, what do I give you then? Just money, Dad, just money. It's like, happy Christmas, here's my month's wages. It's not the same, is it? But I always still wanted them to get the game itself. Just something not right about just downloading, and it doesn't have the same fun at all.
It's the same with music, though, isn't it, as well? There's nothing like actually owning the physical copy of an album, whether it be on vinyl or even CD or cassette. It's not the same. No. That it's just living in the sky somewhere.
There's something to be said. It's like, you have a Kindle because you're weird, but we to open a book and smell the pages and thumb through it, it's just lovely to have that physical weight in your hand.
Until your eyes start to go, James, and then you need a fucking great big torch,
magnifying glass.
But if you got a Kindle, you could just make the text.
Read it one word at a time.
My other half said to me, she said, don't you have your words big? Yes, I do have my words big.
Is that what you sure she said? Oh, are your words big? What are you talking about, you filthy animal? Good. Well, talking about things being bigger, there was a lot of stuff being said in the 80s about getting away from the telly.
Yes,
get square eyes.
Make your eyes square,
right?
yeah.
Because obviously it would. So what did they bring out? They brought a computer, a device that you actually put against your eyes.
So far ahead of its time, though, James. So far ahead of its time.
The future, and the TV screen was on your head. So this is, you can't see this, okay? But
what do you see?
I'm not sure what's happening there.
You were saying they were so reliable.
Have a go. So I'm now flying around the screen in what looks like an X-Wing fighter from Star Wars. Clearly it's not. Who made this? Tomy. Again, they made a lot of early... I'm dead there. They made a lot of, again, handheld little things back then. You can turn the sound off. It's great.
Or not.
And you can't turn the sound off. Oh, well. I can turn the sound off, but I can't turn the actual thing off.
What is it with these games not being able to turn them off?
I can't actually turn it off. That's a worry. Okay. Well, anyway, it's... now, I think we know what's going to happen. The battery's going to run out, and then it will be off. But it's a great little idea. They came out with 3 of them. There were a white one, a blue one, and a red one. The red one was Sky Attack, enemy space bombers, Thundering Turbo, which was driving, and Planet Xeon. I don't need to tell you. That's flying through space. Yes. I don't know what's going to happen, though. Is this actually going to just keep playing forever? Shit, it is as well. Oh, well.
You have to take the batteries out.
Take the batteries out before they go mouldy. The off button not working. Anyway, yes, obviously mint condition. But yes, it has got instructions to tell you how to play it. Maybe it might have instructions in there how to turn the bastard off.
Slightly more basic sounds to that one, though.
Basic sounds, yeah. But it's it was bought in Boots the Chemists in Commercial Road, Portsmouth, branch number 1524. So there we go. Who knew that?
Who knew that Boots were selling handheld games?
They had upstairs was computer games.
I don't remember that.
Upstairs you go. Well, I mean, it's a massive thing. It's huge money earner. These computer, the handheld games were a huge influx in certainly the mid 80s. If you weren't involved in that, I mean, there must have been some good money in it, because WH Smith sold them, Dixon's obviously, Boots, at Woolworths. They all had them lined up there, and again in cabinets. I've got to just give a name drop before I forget. Vintage Toy Monster, which is it's like a nostalgic 70s, 80s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s toy store in Portsmouth. Got to give them a shout out, because a lot of these things I get from them. I get a lot of the stuff from them, and they listen as well. And so hi. Copner Road, Portsmouth. If you like 80s stuff, get in there.
You might bump into James in there.
You bump into me, and my wife will be outside with a very angry look on her face.
Fuming. Let's do our next bit here. Could be anything, James.
I know what it's going to be.
Could be a clip, could be anything.
Yeah.
James's special lunchbox surprise.
I always get genuinely excited by the possible surprise, because I don't know what it's going to be.
No.
Last week was Karamak, and you're going to have a big trouble
topping that.
Karamak.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to top a Karamak, because these are still available. But I thought everybody seemed to love these. I never really got into them. Jelly Babies.
They're all for runners, aren't they?
What?
If you're doing a marathon or something.
Oh, that's why I never ate them.
You never
what? Jelly Babies were for runners? I have never heard that. What the hell does that mean? Powdery. I noticed they're powdery. Always powdery. And squidgy, aren't they? Squidgy? Oh, these are a lot chewier than I remember.
They are chewier than I remember as well. And slightly soapy. Are you getting soap?
Oh. Yeah, these aren't right, are they? Very powdery. Maybe it's covered in cocaine. Maybe that's the problem. I'll try another one for good measure.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm still good flavour.
Moorish. But look at the state of that. You don't want to get arrested with these in your hand.
Go like that, James.
Yeah, that's it. No, nothing to do with me, officer. I've got them all in my jeans. Yeah.
You know why they're powdery? Because they got a new recipe, and there's allergen change.
Oh, okay.
So they're obviously people
made of tofu
and quinoa. But
that's Jelly Babies.
Yeah, Jelly Babies.
They were a big thing, weren't they?
They were. They still are, and they are genuinely. Because did I ever mention that I used to do a bit of running a long time ago? Jelly Babies. They'd hand out Jelly Babies while you're doing your long runs for the energy. Apparently.
I should have started that.
You should have started that, James. It looks like you started the Jelly Babies.
Jelly Babies first.
Never got back to the running.
I think maybe, if they'd had a McDonald's on the way round, I probably would have done more running.
You'd have been fine.
But yeah. So Jelly Babies, they don't. I didn't really get into them much, but they don't taste anything like I remember. But they've got that same squidgy powderiness.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a 5 out of 10.
I think I will concur with you.
Thank you.
Shall we identify the mystery sound from the beginning of the episode? I think you kind of almost gave it away, James.
Did I?
Almost.
No.
It's the mystery sound of the 80s. The mystery sound of the 80s.
Ooh.
Whatever they did to the music just got better as the years went by. I don't know whether the technology allowed the music to be better somehow, but it just got proper musical, didn't it?
Yeah, and proper,
catchy.
Yeah, they've really had great musicians and composers putting those together. They were with the simple ways that they could
Very simple,
music.
tiny amounts of memory.
Yeah, much like me these days, really. Just like, what? When was that? Who said that? Did I? Why? I said I'd drive you all that way, did I, son? Okay. Good, I'll just sit and have a coffee for 7 hours whilst you finish what you're doing and drive you home. Sorry, I'm not bitter. So, yes. Yeah, I think composers at Nintendo were right up there as a priority. So many of the games that they played. Yeah, well, that's it. Up there with Mozart, Tchaikovsky, and Mr. Nintendo. They knew the importance of making it catchy, and every different game had its own theme tune and had its own little jingle like that. So, yeah, you can't forget it. And so many kids still value Mario and Donkey Kong, and Mario mostly as such a significant part of their lives. Kids today even play Mario.
Definite thing that you remember. Don't forget to share your thoughts about the games and things we touched on in the comments. Love to hear from you. But that's the end of episode 2, season 4.
Wow.
For 2025, James.
Yeah, brilliant.
What are we up to next week?
Oh, I think we're going to do like bedrooms. I spend a lot of time in kids' bedrooms, and kids' bedrooms, I think, in the 80s. A different kettle of fish altogether. So much going on. These days it tends to have a computer, a bed and a pile of clothes, and it's not the same in the 80s, and that's what we're going to be chatting about over the next couple of episodes.
See you next Tuesday.
Thanks for listening to this week's edition. We'd love it if you could subscribe in your favourite podcast app, and don't forget there's a video version on YouTube too. You can contact us using the links in the show notes and on the YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time for another edition of Bring Back the 80s.